This World Series Futures and Game 1 Picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100x. That's right, turn $5 into $500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus, up to $500. We're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Plus, NBA is back, and so is the NBA Gambling Podcast. To celebrate, we're giving away an NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA-dog for all of the details. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, October the 26th, and we are here. I forgot what month it was then. I got the 26th down. I got the month wrong, Scott. I can't do right for doing wrong. We are here to have a look at the World Series at this fall classic time, eventually. Joining me to have a look at the World Series futures and Game 1, which is on Saturday, is Mr. Scott Reichel. Scott, hey, how are you?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Definitely not the series we all expected to see about 2 weeks ago after Philly was up 2-0, and we saw Texas potentially blow a 2-0 lead, and they ended up rallying. But either way, nice job by the Diamondbacks and the Rangers to get the job done. Looking forward to the World Series.
Yeah, we eventually got some lead changes, some come from behind wins, because there'd been a lack of that beforehand, and we had commented on it. So it is an unusual, was the right word, maybe an unusual matchup in the World Series. Arizona, one-time winner. Texas have never won it. And these teams really have come from nowhere. Obviously, having a little look around to try and make some notes and pick some winners, do some research. 2 years ago, Scott, the two records of these teams, you like a bit of trivia off the top of your head. How many games did Arizona win in 2021?
2020, so 2 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 74.
52.
Okay.
52.
All right.
It's like a 327 average or something. And same season, how many games did Texas win?
They were probably pretty bad too. I'll go with 61.
Oh, he's at the post. 60, Scott. Not bad. I'll give you that one. I'll give you 1.5 on this spread. Yeah, 52 win team and a 60 win team. 2 years later, fighting it out in the playoffs. And we haven't spoke since, I think we handicapped the game 6 or game 7 last week. And the Diamondbacks did exactly what they had to do. We said Carroll had to hit. I think he was 1 for 15 in that series. And he came out and did it. They fielded well. They ran well. They did the things that they have to do. I was delighted for Brandon Pfaadt, because kind of been on him all year and knew he had it in him. And then I mentioned that I like the bullpen. Obviously, we'll look at all of these things in a little while. But they've got several good playoff appearances between them and managed to pull it off again in game 6 and game 7. Between them, really. So, yeah, good effort that from the D-backs, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Carroll was the guy who kind of set the tone for Game 7 when he went, what was it, 3 for 3 initially with a sac fly? I think that was his first 4 at-bats, but he finally stole some bases. They finally let him run. I've been asking for him to steal the entire series, and then he stole 2 bases in Game 7. And one of them set up the insurance run with the Moreno single the next at bat, because he had an RBI single in the top of the 5th with 2 outs, then stole second, then ended up scoring in that same half inning. So Carroll did his part. Marte won NLCS MVP. I know Munaf and I basically said if you like the Diamondbacks to win Game 7, just bet Marte to win the MVP, because they're not going to give it to anybody else, and that was plus 340. So that got there.
Really? Wow.
It's plus 340. So that worked out. For the Phillies, I did give out Wheeler to win the MVP at about 10-1. It was a good game script because he did pitch. The problem was the Phillies couldn't score, so they ended up losing the game. I touched upon it in the Game 7 breakdown. I did lean to the Diamondbacks plus the money because I thought the price was too high. You can't win series if you only rely on solo home runs. Philly could not score any other way besides hitting home runs, and it just so happens that nobody was on base for a lot of those home runs. We saw Bohm, for example, hit the solo blast in Game 7, and that was basically it. They didn't do anything offensively for the last, I don't even know, 5-6 innings in that game. They went 1 for 10 with run in scoring position. Turner did nothing for the last 3 games. Harper did nothing either. He missed that meatball right down the middle, which he should have crushed. But that turned out to be an inning-ending pop-up. And, Schwarber didn't do anything either. So a lot of the high-salary guys did nothing. But the real story for me, once again, Philly could not score unless it was a home run. And they stopped hitting home runs. So there you go.
I've got a little opinion here, Scott. One of the things that I've said for 3 years on this show is that I don't have the baseball history in my life. So I don't get to have takes on things like managers and this team annoy me, this team don't.
You don't get takes on it now because you destroyed your own credibility. You got to not say that and then give your opinion.
Well, so what? And this is it. I've started accumulating baggage. Things are starting to attach themselves to me. And on the Game 6 and Game 7, Scott, I thought the Philly fans were terrible. Bear in mind, that was one of the, I don't know what percentage you would attribute the success to the fan base. It might be 5%, it might be 1%, I don't know. But they just seem to give up. In Game 6, they gave up pretty early on. And then in Game 7, they almost like, it was like they wanted to lose so they could be angry. And that was really, that's the first time in 6 years watching baseball, I've had an opinion about the fan base. So I can see where this is going now. In 10 years, I'm just going to be as bitter and twisted as everybody else.
I'm assuming you saw the clip of the random street guy interviewing the fans after the game.
It was brilliant. Really good. Well, I sat through that last night because I went to the Newcastle Dortmund game and Newcastle lost. And our support was terrible last night. Against PSG, the fans made, and this is kind of why I noticed it, the fans make a huge difference at Newcastle. Last night was, from the minute we walked in the ground, was noticeably different.
Well, to be fair, that PSG game was what? Your first Champions League home game in 20 years? Like, that's a bit of a different actual... The stakes are a bit different for that one than the other.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Last night, it was the second game, and it just wasn't quite as exciting.
Well, and I feel like you make a comp between the Newcastle one and the Phillies Game 7, which was the other team, the away team, just took the energy out of the building. Newcastle didn't generate any chances. I don't want to turn this into a full soccer pod, but Newcastle just got thoroughly outplayed, and it felt like Borussia put the pressure on, and they really just sucked the life out of the stadium. And I feel like that's what Arizona did early on. Philly had a chance early on when Rojas ended up stranding the bases loaded with the strikeout in the bottom of the 4th. Then you ended up having the 2 runs from Arizona in the top of the 5th. And from that point forward, Philly didn't really do anything. But it felt like Philly had a couple chances to get the crowd heavily involved and to deliver the death blow, and they didn't do it. And at some point, the fan base is going to also notice that nobody on the entire team is getting clutch hits, or in Newcastle's case, you might hit the post a couple times, but nobody's scoring, and the energy is just not there because you're kind of viewing the doomsday scenario, and I feel like it just made the entire venue a downer at that point.
Yeah, it was a definite comparison, and I think you noticed it more with Philly because of how they are, the fact that this atmosphere had been made into something that was actually contributing to their success. So when it's absent, it's more noticeable than if they were just in Tampa or Miami or wherever the hell else it is. But yeah, it was definitely noticeable. We need someone to be able to put a scientific...
I do want to ask you, what percentage of crowds in any sport are basically front runners? Where if things are going well, the entire crowd is going crazy. And when things go poorly, you can hear a pin drop. I feel like that's a common case in a lot of sports, and it just felt like Philly, it kind of started in Game 6. They just kept noticing, oh, none of these guys can hit with guys on base. And they kept waiting for that one moment to happen to blow the roof off the building, and it never happened. And eventually the fuse blew. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an illusion because it's very easy when you're winning. There's a sort of common song that gets sung in in English football grounds is you only sing when you're winning. And it's, I do think that's an illusion. That it's a bit like sort of team spirit is an illusion. It's really easy when you're winning. It's really easy to slap each other on the back and ruffle each other's hair and dance and sing and do the sprinkler, whatever Baltimore is doing. When you're getting beat, it's not as easy. It almost looks flippant if you're doing that. So I do think these things, it's a bit of a sporting fallacy. It's a bit of a fandom fallacy. But yeah, that was an interesting comp between Philip. But I just laughed at myself because I wouldn't normally notice that shit. And I've started noticing it, and it must be the number of years into my journey to start to notice things about fan bases and managers and things like that. So
I'm just saying, I'll give Philly's fan base a little bit of slack because I think most fans in that situation would have also been really quiet when your team scores 3 runs at home in 2 must-win games, basically. So yeah. I get it, but the crowd was underwhelming, but the team, to be fair, didn't really give them much to cheer about for the last 2 games. That's my point.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll do some World Series futures first, Scott. Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy first. Underdog introduced Scorchers. So if you go 5 for 5 and pick them Scorchers, you can enjoy a spicy 100 XP out for a limited time. Underdog extending the first deposit bonus is back up to $500. We have $100,000 Sundays continuing every week. 10 lucky players winning 10 grand each. Scott, what's the Underdog NFL play tonight?
Yeah, so I ended up cashing the Kirk Cousins interception one for you last time.
You did,
I'll go back to it. Give me Baker Mayfield interception.
Baker Mayfield interceptions, writing that down right now. Watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. NBA is back as well. I was talking to 2 lads in the pub last night who were big NBA fans. NBA Gambling Podcast, I plugged to them, Scott. And we're giving away a hoodie. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com, NBA Dog. Submit a screenshot of you playing NBA Underdog. Use the promo code SGPN. And one random winner gets that NBA Gambling Podcast hoodie. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Dog. A bit quiet in the chat tonight. People doing other stuff, maybe on a Thursday. Captain Insano's here, though. Captain Insano's rooting for my Arizona Diamondbacks. I got my D-backs hat on still. So, yeah, quietly excited. I'm trying not to talk about it too much to jinx it. For the series, Arizona plus 155 and Texas are minus 175. The first thing I think, looking at that, is that the odds are wrong, Scott. I think the odds should be much closer together. Fangraphs, I think Fangraphs, you'd say, a pretty trusted source. If they're going to crunch the numbers, they're going to do it better than most other people. They've got the odds at 51.8% Texas, 48.2% Arizona. Should pretty much be minus 105, plus 105, maybe even closer, plus 102 kind of thing. So I think the odds are too far apart. Now, looking at it by category, I mean, there's other shows and there's other people who will look at, compare the starting pitchers, compare the lineup, compare the pen. I'm not doing it. For a start, that would have got you nowhere in this postseason, I thought.
Yeah.
If you'd done that, you'd be about 2 for 12 or what have you.
You have 2 wild card teams in this World Series, so you would have been...
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah.
And the fact is, the books have done that for you and came up with these prices. So that's pretty much factored in. If you're going to do that, you're going to come down on the side of wherever the books are. I think what you have to do really is just find some players that you like, find an angle that you like, and just pretty much stick with it. Like the first, obviously, I would take Arizona. I don't have to. I've got a better ticket, but I would back Arizona at plus 155. I think they're absolutely live. The price is far too big. Like I say, I think Fangraphs have got it right. It's closer. There's a couple of players that I like. First of all, a bit of a fun bet here, Scott, that would have cashed in both championship series if you back both teams to win from behind. So I don't know what people's unit size is or what have you, but you can take both teams here. So Arizona to win from behind are plus 350, and the same bet for Texas is plus 275. So if you play them both, effectively Texas pays plus 205 and Arizona plays plus 225. So you can bet both teams to win from behind. You've then instantly got a dog in the fight. Possibly after, you could end up with both dogs in the fight. If a team goes 1-0 up and then 2-1 down, you can end up with both teams. So I think that's a fun way of getting into the game. And I think Arizona in 7, Scott. We've just seen 2 7-game series. Arizona to win 4-3. It's a price of 6-1. So they would be my sort of 2 immediate outright plays. I think we're going to see lots of runs. I think it's going to be an over series. The bullpens are both dodgy. I like the matchups are good. We've got Gallen. I mean, the matchups are going to repeat. It's effectively Gallen, Eovaldi, Kelly, Montgomery, Fart, Scherzer. Then game 4 will be bullpen v Heaney. So bullpen v bullpen, because Heaney won't last. And then we repeat that. The top 3 go on, repeat again. And I think there's going to be runs. We've seen Texas are great at getting amongst it. The bullpens haven't got great stats, but I do like how Arizona have been. Arizona's bullpen in the second half and in the playoffs has been really, really good. They've had several good playoff appearances. Texas, not quite so much. And my final angle in here is going to be a road wins ladder, Scott. We saw lots of road wins in the championship series. You can take over 2.5.
Nobody won a home game in the Rangers series. Nobody won a home game.
Yeah, these prices, man, they jump off the board. Over 2.5 road wins is minus 105. And then let's get the little step ladder out, Scott. Over 3.5 road wins is plus 375. And over 4.5 road wins is 9-1. We could fill our boots on over 4.5 road wins at 9-1. So yeah, I've got loads of different angles in if any of them blow your skirt up. Yeah, that's how I would look at it. Scott, you?
Yeah, well, a lot of those props you have are correlated because you have it going longer. So the fact that you need a bunch of road wins means you need a very long series because it's impossible for you to actually cash that unless the series goes to like 6 or 7. So yeah, I think the series is going to be competitive. I am going to link to Texas. I think it's going to be very close, though. If I had to pick an exact outcome, I would take Texas in 6. A reminder, it is going to be a 2-3-2 format like we saw in the last series. So Texas gets games 1 and 2 and games 6 and 7. And you're going to see Arizona with games 3, 4, and 5. So if Arizona does steal one of the first 2 games, in theory, they could win the series without having to go back to Texas, which would be a big deal. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to link to Texas. I just think the offensive firepower is a little bit too potent, in my opinion. I know Philly was kind of the same boat entering the series, but they are so home run dependent that it was not exactly shocking that they fell apart once the home runs weren't there. Texas isn't really like that. They have the power, but they also can generate key hits all the way through the order. Philly was also pretty top-heavy when you're looking at the likes of Schwarber. Turner, I know, kind of vanished late, but Harper as well. The bottom part of the order, I liked Marsh, but Bowman, Stott didn't do anything for me. Castellanos was terrible. Rojas was a free out pretty much the entire series. I just think Texas is a deeper lineup than Philly, and I do think that even though you can make some arguments about Texas bullpen and about Scherzer, who is the massive wild card in the series, I still trust Montgomery. I still trust Eovaldi. Gallen is starting game 1 on the road. That has not always gone well for him. He has not exactly been great on the road this season. I'm picking Texas in 6. I think they'll finish it at home. I think it's going to be a competitive series, but I do think eventually Bochy finds a way to win again, and I think Texas wins. I'll go with minus 1.5 games at plus 120.
So Texas on the handicap. Yeah, you're right. Texas do hit all the way down, and we've said that. We've made a point. That's one of the things we've been high on about Texas all season, all the way down to, like I say, their weakest hitters, Scott, are league average hitters.
Yeah.
And you can't say that about the Phillies. You can't say, you've just mentioned Rojas, people like that. They're way below league average. Tavares, Jonah Heim, even Robbie Grossman, lefty specialist, they're league average hitters. Arizona, obviously the key to that is Pham to Walker to Moreno to Gurriel. Corbin Carroll and Marte, we know what they're about. But if that little, the supporting cast there, Pham, Walker, Moreno, Gurriel, have to join in because Carroll and Marte won't be able to do it. It's not Marte.
Walker. I think Walker is the big X factor for this team.
He can hit it out. The rest of them are very much bits and bobs. What Marte has done is no fluke at all. He's a proper switch hitter. He hits equally well from both sides. Corbin Carroll can do everything. I mean, Marte had a 6-win year in 2019.
Well, Marte has the all-time record. He has the most hits in consecutive games to start a playoff career. He has 16 hits. He's had a hit in his first 16 playoff games, which is the all-time record. So
I didn't know that. Good knowledge. We like a good start. Brando's in. Brando wants the D-backs. Brando, evening. How you doing? And TV DBJ is tardy, but we'll let him off. Good evening, Trev. No fourth starter for Arizona. They go in with Kelly, Gallen, Kelly, Farts, and then it was Joe Mantiply, wasn't it? Followed by everybody else in game 4. But and then in Texas, third start, you said Max Scherzer. So there's a lot of questions around Zach Gallen. Has to be as good in the second half or in the playoffs. Arizona need 2 good Zach Gallen starts as well. That's really, really important. But yeah, I love all of it. It's very exciting. So I'm taking Arizona. Scott's on the other side.
I had a question for you, by the way.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Gallen's little Twitter drama with the Philly fans, if you know what I'm talking about?
I have not seen it. What happened?
So Phillies fans, I think they were commenting on like an Arizona like celebratory post of something we made the World Series, whatever. And Philly fans were complaining. And then he sent a picture of like a ticketing app with tickets to Philly spring training. And he said, have fun a couple of months, which I thought was pretty amusing. I guess the question that I have, though, is can you really chirp if you lost both your starts?
Yeah, of course you can.
You think you can? Okay. I'm just wondering. I'm a big fan of the chirp. It was great. There was a photo of like the ticket prices for spring training in April. But Gallen kind of sucked in that series, and I wanted your thoughts, if that's actually
that's fine. Absolutely fine. In fact, it makes it a little bit better that he sucked and still was confident.
I kind of respect it, but I wanted to ask. I just thought that was amusing.
Absolutely no problem with that at all. MVPs, Scott? Do you have any World Series MVPs?
I feel like, once again, it's a spot where this World Series MVP could go to anybody if they end up getting a really hot bat. Garcia is going to be the pretty massive favorite because he's viewed as being the team leader. So I do think, once again, he delivers the home runs. He completely took over that Astros series with that grand slam and everything that happened after that. Yeah, I know. I'm saying he's going to be the favorite. So if I had to pick somebody who was not going to be the favorite, I like Evan Carter.
Yes.
Big fan of his game. I think he's just a solid overall player. He can make the occasional big catch in the outfield. I'm not sure if fielding matters for these awards, but he's been a very good outfielder. If he makes a couple of diving catches and he hits at the plate, I do think that you're looking at a good spot for him to maybe sneak in and steal it. Not to mention the fact Carter's also been just an incredible hitter throughout the entire postseason. Had the big double with the bases loaded, I think, midway through Game 7. So if you wanted to pick for each team, I'd go with Carter for the Rangers, and for the Diamondbacks, I'm not going to pick Marte because that's too chalky. You know what? I think I am going to go Christian Walker.
Okay, so we've got Christian Walker is 18-1, and Evan Carter is also 18-1. I'll tell you why I know Evan Carter's price, because he was one. I've got 3 picks, Scott, and Evan Carter was my top one. Bit of a little comp. Was it Jeremy Pena won this last year, I think, didn't he? Came out of nowhere. I mean, it'd been a huge price. I've got 3 big prices here. Evan Carter's the shortest price I've got because it's cool to pick big price winners. Marte, Garcia, Carroll, etc. All really chalky. Evan Carter.
One of your guys is going to be. You're taking Alec Thomas.
No, you're not.
Really?
Oh, no,
I'm surprised. I thought you were going to take Alec Thomas.
The person I've picked is even worse than Alec Thomas. So Evan Carter at 18-1. Nate Lowe at 40-1.
Are you picking Longoria? Are you going Longoria?
16 hit streak, 2 home runs for Nate Lowe. And at 66-1, Scott,
Geraldo Perdomo. That's my final guess. I guess Longoria.
Geraldo Perdomo is the answer.
Oh, that was my next guess. Okay.
Right. No, he is rubbish. I've written that down. He kind of he's he bats 9. He's sort of that second table set a little bit. Sometimes these people come out of nowhere. He's had back-to-back 2-hit games. He's had back-to-back playoff games with home runs earlier this against the Dodgers, I think. So he can be a little bit streaky. He's a gigantic price. 66 to 1 is the in price at the minute. So yeah, I'll take Evan Carter. I'll take Nate Lowe, 40 to 1 Nate Lowe, 6-game hit streak, 2 homers. And Geraldo Perdomo, because why not? He's got the opportunity, and that is half the battle. We're going to take you through game 1. I think I said at the top of the show, is Friday night, Saturday morning. What day is it?
Friday in America.
Friday in America. That's what's confusing me. Yeah, I said Saturday at the top, so I don't want anyone to miss the game. If you're listening to this, it is Friday where you are. It's Saturday morning where I am. But we'll go through it after I tell you about Hall of Fame bets, helping people win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season. The sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer, and you get hit rates broken down by leg, expected probabilities for the parlay. You can sort players by hit rate, learn which players have the best value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. World Series MVP picks in the chat. Captain Insano votes for Gabe Montero. Brando's gone for Corbin Carroll. TVDBJ's gone for Fart. And Gabe Moreno as well. I do like Moreno. Johnny Junter, our Canadian friend, has been absolutely losing his shit about Moreno. I think because he's a Blue Jays fan and the whole Varsho Moreno thing. And it's sentimental. I feel like I need to reach out to Johnny because he's been absolutely obsessed. He's slowly unraveling before our eyes on Twitter. It's quite funny. Game 1, Arizona with Zach Gallen are plus 145. Texas with Nathan Eovaldi. They've swapped Eovaldi and Montgomery over. Don't know why. You might be able to tell us, Scott. Texas minus 166, and the total is set at 8. Firstly, have you got any reason for that switch, or
Montgomery pitched in Game 7.
Oh, did he really? Okay, I missed that. Started?
No, out of the bullpen.
Okay.
It was really bad, and they piggybacked.
Of course. All right. Okay, I understand that. Like I say, I missed that. That's one of the highlight things I didn't catch up on. So Eovaldi goes. The total set at 8. Scott, lead us off.
Yeah, so no offense to Gallen. I do really appreciate the taunting, but I am going Rangers on the run line here. I think Eovaldi's a phenomenal big game pitcher. I think that he's just a very good postseason pitcher, and he has been his entire career. I trust him, just simply put. And Gallen so far this postseason has been not great, to be honest. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that they've won in spite of him, but you were hoping for more at this point. Gallen doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Facing off against Texas in Texas, not exactly a great, remedy for that. I think that Gallen's going to struggle a bit. Texas did have an extra day off of rest because they played their Game 7 a day before. So I do wonder if that's going to help or hurt either side, but I think it's a pretty interesting scheduling spot. I'm just going to take Eovaldi on the run line. I like plus money. Texas very good at home. We know how good offensively they are. Gallen struggled with allowing home runs this postseason, but it's mostly just relying on Eovaldi. I like him a lot. I think Eovaldi's a very good big game pitcher. And I think Texas, with the crowd, gets out to an early lead. We saw them get out to an early lead in every series they've been in. Beat the Rays in Game 1 on the road. We saw them beat the Astros in Game 1 at home. I see Game 1 on the road, I see a pretty similar story here. I think Texas, this is actually going to be the first time they've hosted Game 1 of a series so far. I'll go with them to ride the home crowd. Give me the Rangers minus 1.5 at around plus 125.
Yeah, you're right. Gallen has been shaky. He's given up 2 and 3 home runs in his last 2 starts, on his way to giving up 4 and 5 earned runs in those 2 starts. So home run props, we've just talked about. Evan Carter is 7 to 1. In fact, I think he's a bit bigger than 7 to 1. And Nathaniel Lowe's the same price. They're both hanging around the 7 to 1 mark. To hit a homer, which is a big old price. The first prop I liked was on Gallen, and it is an earned run prop. It's over 2.5 earned runs. Like I say, 4 and 5 in his last 2. And really, it's the entire second half. He's had a good season, no question. But this is a line that he can quite easily cover. And certainly Texas could cover this of anybody. So over 2.5 earned runs off Zach Gallen. There's a price of -116. Nathan Eovaldi had 2 really solid starts against Houston. Experience, a lot of playoff experience all over this Texas team, actually. I wrote some stuff down before. I mean, you go back to Corey Seager, Dodgers 2020, Max Scherzer, Eovaldi with the Red Sox. Will Smith is a back-to-back World Series winner, Aroldis Chapman, and then Bruce Bochy. So there's that compared to the D-backs, which is very much a bunch of sort of journeyman players cobbled together. There's no reason not to think Eovaldi will go well again here. I didn't like any of the Eovaldi props at all. As far as pitching props were concerned, it was strictly Gallen. I'm going to take Arizona on the game because obviously I am. The total, I think, is too low. 8. I think both pitchers can contribute, and certainly both bullpens can contribute here. If it's going to be an over series, we need to start by getting one. I think we're going to start seeing 8.5s, 9s, maybe even 9.5s by Monday, Tuesday next week. In terms of a hitter prop, I did find one that I liked, and that was Lourdes Gurriel Jr., rocking the purple hair at the moment for Arizona. He is 7 for 18 off Nathan Eovaldi, Scott, with 2 homers in 20 plate appearances. Plus 550 to hit a homer. I want to find an alt hit line for him to find over half, but over 1.5 total bases for Gurriel is plus 160. So yeah, he was the one batter prop that I liked, Scott. Did you have anything else in that direction?
Yeah. So I'm going to go look at Seager for this one against Gallen. Seager in his career is 7 for 21 with a walk in his lifetime against Gallen. So I do think it's a good spot for Seager. Either hits, runs, RBIs, something along those lines. He might hit a home run. I don't mind the home run at like plus 340. Garcia home runs 255. That's too cheap for me. I tend to have a rule. I don't really take home run props that are below 3-1. I just don't see much value on that. But so far in his career, Garcia is 0 for 5 actually against Gallen. If you want to go for the solely looking at batter versus pitcher stats, Marcus Semien is 5 for 8 with 2 doubles against Gallen. He hasn't been that great this postseason, but if you want to go for that angle, then you can go with Semien. Maybe Semien run, since he is the leadoff guy, and you think he's going to score. I don't mind that either. But I do think Seager hits, runs, RBIs is probably my favorite prop for that game.
Trev's mentioned Randy Johnson must be throwing out the first pitch, I think. Looking for a 95 mile an hour hitter from Big Randy. I think we're covered, Scott. I think we've done. Do you have anything else for game 1 you want to point us towards?
Not really. Just looking forward to the series. I'm happy it's on Friday, so it's not interfering with college football or anything like that. They timed it out perfectly. I appreciate it. I know for the WNBA Finals, for example, they had game 1 on a Sunday to compete with the NFL. Like, who do you think is going to be watching that? Like, I just feel like a lot of these leagues do such a bad job of scheduling the most important moments because football is going to dominate. The NFL is going to get all the ratings. It doesn't matter. So do whatever you can to not have your games on the same day as that, and the MLB putting it on Friday, it's perfect. It's a great start day.
All these games start at the same time, and none of them are very helpful for me. I think there's a couple start an hour sooner, so tomorrow's game will start at 3 minutes past 1 in the morning, so I can maybe get the first hour. But I'm away at the weekend. I'm at a wedding. I've got to travel. And I think there's 2, maybe game 3 and game 4 are scheduled for 12:03 a.m. rather than 1:03. So it helps a little bit, but there's no day sport at all. I thought, did they not stick a game on for the kids to go to and stuff during the World Series? Is that not important?
At school, it's the school year, so I'm sure the kids are kind of busy. But no, I got no idea.
Yeah, fair enough.
No clue. Okay, I don't have any kids, so at least none that I know about. So I'm the wrong person to ask.
The level of respect I get around here, Scott. 30 seconds ago, Bob walked past the glass door just here, breathed on it, so there was a big mark of steam, and then we were cocking balls in the steam and went to bed.
Nice.
Yeah. There you go. That's my 12-year-old idiot. Right. Thank you very much, Scott. Thanks everyone in the chat. Looking forward to it. really excited, actually. A bit more invested than I have been in the last few years. So can't wait to get amongst it. Good luck with all your bets. I'm guessing some type of show will be out Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The thing to do is subscribe and watch out for the notifications. So enjoy the baseball. Good luck with all your bets, everybody. Thank you, Scott. And we will see you down the road. Cheers.